Take a look at the landscape and you know we are west. North Dakota's Badlands provide the perfect backdrop to a national park that carries the name of the 26th president.
So what do you tell people? People will say like, oh, you know, I've been to the Badlands before, and they're thinking South Dakota.
Right. And comparing the two is like comparing Yellowstone to Glacier. There is another thing we need to keep our eyes out for a little bit too, and that's the rattlesnake.
Oh, good. I'm glad you brought that up.
We have rattlesnakes out here, and especially when we're going through some of these rock formations.
Mike Jensen is outdoor promotions manager with North Dakota Tourism. He gave us a tour of the park with a special history and promising future. It spans 70,000 acres, more than 1,000 square miles, and is split into 3 sections known as Elkhorn Ranch, the North and South units.
So there's the North unit of the park, that's up by Watford City, North Dakota. There's the Elkhorn Ranch unit where Theodore Roosevelt actually ranched himself in between the two, and then what we're in is the South unit here.
Early on, we run into a traffic jam of sorts and see who really rules this land.
So in the South unit of the park, there are over 400 bison, and the North unit right now has over 300. They're often visible from the scenic drives, and as long as you're within the safety of your vehicle, you can get quite close to these massive animals. Bison really are the iconic symbol of the West, and a lot of visitors come to the park just to see them.
It doesn't take long to kind of figure out who's boss in this park, right?
Absolutely.
It's not the tourists, it's not the vehicles.
No. The bison make themselves known, and they will take over whatever site, whatever road, create a traffic jam within the park. They are king of the park here.
On our trip, they were everywhere, offering visitors an amazing view.
It's good for us to get an up-close look, but you're not supposed to get too close, right?
No, not too close. Warning, bison can gore you with their horns, and they can charge, and so it's good to keep your distance from wildlife anywhere in the park, especially the bison.
So there is another animal that is very vocal that we've been hearing a lot from since we've been here.
Yep, our prairie dog. And prairie dog is an animal that you're going to have no problem finding in Theodore Roosevelt National Park. There's dog towns all over the park. In fact, we have to look out for the holes as we walk here. They're known as Richardson ground squirrel, but they're protected in the park, so these dog towns are vast, and you can see them all over the prairie out here.
And you said at one point they were known as the barking squirrel.
Yes, yeah, Lewis and Clark named them barking squirrel when they came out, and it was what they recorded in their scientific journals, barking squirrels.
The wildlife viewing doesn't end there. Elk, fox, more than 100 bird species, and feral horses.
One of the great things about the park is you really never miss anything, because cars will stop and they'll be looking at something, and you'll figure out what they're looking at every time, and usually it's bison or horse or even some rare elk that you'll see in the park.
Well, there is certainly a lot to see. There is also a story behind it all, important to hear. The park's namesake and a president revered for protecting these parts and making this possible.
It's the only national park to be named for a person. The reason this park is here is because of the significance of Roosevelt's conservation effort during his presidency. He set aside more public land than any other president. And I think this park is a celebration of the idea of public land. And it's here in thanks to all the places that Roosevelt provided for us.
Theodore Roosevelt grew up in New York with a love for nature. He landed in North Dakota to hunt bison.
So Teddy Roosevelt came out here.
Yes.
And there weren't many bison left at that point.
No, there weren't. In 1883, Roosevelt came out to do a bison hunt, and he wanted to actually come out and experience the frontier before it was gone. And then in 1884, Roosevelt's wife and mother died on the same day, Valentine's Day in 1884. So Roosevelt actually used the Badlands as his escape, as his place to go to clear his head and to come out, and he decided he was going to come out and live the strenuous life out on out in the North Dakota Badlands.
Behind me is Theodore Roosevelt's Maltese Cross Cabin. This was one of his ranch homes when he was here in Dakota Territory in the 1880s. And I think this park is a celebration of the idea of public land, and it's here in thanks to all the places that Roosevelt provided for us.
A little bit of everything, and a reminder of simpler times that tourists of all ages can enjoy.
And what are your impressions of the park so far?
Well, we really enjoyed it. The kids have really had a lot of fun because they like the prairie dogs and they like the bison walking down the streets and in the campground, and had a good time. A lot of hiking and a little warm. There's no mosquitoes, which is nice.
This place is special and it's unexpected. It's certainly not what I imagined when I found out that I was going to be working for a national park in North Dakota.
They are not the Badlands of South Dakota, but some may argue the better landscape lies to the north.
So they really are very different. It's worth a trip here if you haven't been before.
It is, yes, yeah. If you haven't been to Theodore Roosevelt National Park and think you've been to the Badlands, it's still worth seeing the North Dakota Badlands.
Think again.
Yes.
Life to the Max is brought to you by Life Touch. Photography for a lifetime.